Well, I was too busy on Friday to post about the Russian papers, but there were a couple of interesting articles I'd like to share. So here we go, better late than never. First of all, this editorial in Nezavisima Gazeta, which poses what it presents as one of the core questions as far as the Trump administration is concerned. If NATO was created to defend the common values of America and Europe, but now their values are diametrically different, then what exactly should NATO defend at the expense of American taxpayers? This question was posed in Munich at the security conference. The Americans received no response. Instead, EU leaders set about organising in Paris a common Western European platform for opposing Trump and his approach to Ukraine. Washington will respond for sure. That's life, baby. So this raises all sorts of questions, but primarily this one. If the Trump administration concludes it does not share the values of other NATO member states, if it grows less interested in NATO, less committed to NATO and the transatlantic relationship, then where does that leave Article 5, the principle by which an attack on one NATO member would be viewed by NATO member states as an attack on the alliance as a whole, triggering a united NATO response? Would the Trump White House uphold that principle? And if we're asking that question, you can be sure that they're asking it too in Moscow. A few days ago, the NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte said that the Trump administration was absolutely committed to NATO, but this is definitely one to watch closely. On to Moskovsky Komsomolets and an interview with former Russian Interior Minister General Anatoly Kulikov, now president of the Military Commanders Club. He says, "I am certain that Putin and Trump will come to an agreement. I think that this year we'll put this matter to rest," the war in Ukraine. "But this does not mean that afterwards we can take off our uniforms and go fishing. It means that without losing any time, we must continue to analyse military events, make conclusions, and build up our defence capabilities. I repeat, build them up. Trump's term ends in 4 years. What if a new Biden comes to power in the USA? It's happened before. Roosevelt and Stalin got on. At the Yalta Conference, they managed to agree the shape of the post-war global order we still have today. But Roosevelt died, Truman took over in 1945, and the Cold War began a year later. The same could happen again. So we must always be prepared. There will be no relaxation by us at the end of the war. Every citizen in our country must think like this." Reading that, after reading the editorial in Nezavisima Gazeta, certainly gives food for thought.